Good evening, or afternoon rather. Welcome to the ESP negotiation session. And I just want to go over the agenda. It is an open meeting. There's public comment, December 19th minutes. We've set the ground rules. Number 5, executive session as per PSA 313. Reconvene to open meeting. What's that? Oh. Yeah. Reconvene to open meeting, to set future meeting dates and adjournment. So, I will turn it over to Dina.
All right, hi guys, welcome back from break. I think I just spoke with Norm. I think what we're going to do, and it'll help you guys as well, we're going to go into a brief caucus. That way you guys can take a look at, he's got some information for you and I have some information that the board's got to go through. I'm assuming that works for everybody. Since it is not an open meeting, we are not required to make a motion to go into executive session, but Fran, if you want to act as if it is, I guess we can do that, or?
Whatever's easiest.
So,
Don't need to make it complicated.
All right,
we don't have another board member here.
so let's just go.
Second.
We're back, guys.
There you go. Who's gonna go first?
I have copies of the ground rules I
Yes.
wrote with the
Right, and I
change
did the
we
change
agreed
that we agreed to, yeah.
to. And Lisa has signed them. There are 4 copies. If somebody signs them and gives me 2 back. You can check, but the only change from the original was the
Yeah.
open meeting provision.
I'm sorry, Norm, what did you say about the last part?
It's a change. The only change from the original that we started with was the additional part in number 1, I think, that said that bargaining will be an open session.
Okay.
And that was what you proposed and we agreed to.
Yeah.
I just rewrote it and
Yeah.
included that. And then, so we, for the record, we'll have an official copy.
Okay, so we're gonna hold Nick responsible as the person who, if we need to cancel a meeting, will send out notification.
Sure.
I think it's absolutely easier and faster than holding you accountable.
Now,
That's how we got it.
I know we didn't discuss it, but there's a difference between open meetings and executive session. That we can be in open session and not have a Warren School Board meeting under, as I understand the legal decision. That's not my choice, that's yours.
Right.
But if you want to, I know sometimes in trying to schedule it makes more problems, but
Right,
that's why I use the word open session, because it doesn't suggest it's an executive session and there are all kinds of secrets and stuff.
correct, it's a negotiation session and we're just happening
Right.
to make the decision to do it publicly. And if there is a need to caucus, there is no need to make the motion to go into
Right.
executive session. I will say this, a lot of boards still follow, the posting, all of those issues. Nothing says that we can't, nothing says that that's prohibited or is problematic. We haven't had the complete discussion on how we want to handle that part. But yes, you're correct, that I would refer to it as a negotiation session, is how I, as opposed
I
to
think it just
necessarily a
makes it
board
simple.
meeting. So is somebody signing the ground rules? One of you gentlemen?
I do.
Who did we
Fran
just?
is,
Yeah.
Fran
I'll
is
sign it.
our Karen this week, right?
One signed copy or two? Okay, so we need to, so Fran, you got those?
Yeah, I made 4 copies, so each side can keep 2.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how you-
So you need to sign them all. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
We
then,
can do that, we'll keep 2
Yeah.
of them for.
But the chair, the honorable chair could
that's
sign
great.
them.
He's got the big pen.
He's got the
Did you
official.
see me looking at that?
He's
Did
got
you?
the company pen.
Yeah, that's.
Bet he hasn't lost that.
Hey, you are bigger than this one. About another 6 inches high.
The microphone?
Hard to lose those.
You're right.
Oh, wait, wait. Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
So you're getting back to and we're keeping to it, correct?
Yep, if you would. That was my grand plan. Well, there's maybe Mary.
Okay.
She's the keeper of all records.
I know,
Nick
she
the
goes.
repository.
Yeah, right now,
Keeper
it's
of-
gonna be.
I'm just the keeper.
Oh,
there.
All right, come on, guys. Please. Well, we got one agreement, the ground rules.
The ground rules.
Yes, that's awesome. It's always good to start off on a positive note, I'm not gonna lie. As I talked to Norm, we have sort of a list of topic areas that I was gonna present to you all tonight. I don't know what you are looking to present, Norm, because we do have, as of the third meeting, having
Right.
all of the final proposals in. So I don't know if you want to go first.
I can.
If that works for you.
I have a almost, not quite complete proposal,
Okay,
but hopefully nearly complete.
sounds great.
Let's see. I don't know, are you missing anyone? We got anybody in the?
No, one or two. We'll do that after, yeah.
I've got more copies if you're short.
I don't know if they're in.
And don't take that as a.
No, I'm fine with, you're absolutely correct.
I didn't mean to intend to do it.
No, you're, no, perfectly fine. Actually, it's a good description.
Yeah, but they said that somebody's on the page, and then they were sent to me, and she was absent
Public comments in a minute.
from my last.
We need to approve
Oh, sure.
December 19th minutes.
Did you want to do that right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so Norm, if I can interrupt you, thank you for passing this out. We apparently skipped over doing the public.
Yeah, well, there's no public, and we just need to approve the December 19th minutes as a board. So I need a motion for that, the December minutes.
So move.
Second.
Second. Any questions or anything? If not, all in favor of those minutes? So say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
All right,
Good.
good. Tom, we're back to you, Norm.
Okay. We have not determined, although we discussed it, our final wage proposal. So I included that. I suggested you provide us with a 100% increase. Make sure we have some room to move negotiations. But we'll give you hopefully a little bit more specific proposal by the third meeting, as agreed. Anyway, you may not want to be bored by me reading it, but a few things that we're suggesting. One is a contract, a 2-year agreement. I think we would like more than that. I don't know what the board's feeling is, but 2 years seems to coincide with the next round of health insurance negotiations on the state level. And so our thinking was to have the contract expire and then renew when that information will be available to both sides. Because of the merger in the school districts, I just made the comment we should change the contract accordingly, which would be on the cover page and also in the preamble recognition clauses. What I tried to do, in the preamble, I just listed the districts as, at least I think they exist today, with the Southwest Vermont Union Elementary District now, instead of having Powell, Shaftesbury, Bennington ID, and so on. But that's just bookkeeping or keeping up to date. I also suggesting on page 2 on 1.1 that I combine the recognition clause where in the current contract it had each school district recognizes the association. I tried to combine them without any changes, that the exclusions from the bargaining unit are the same as they existed before. There's an extra exclusion that applies to the technical center, and that is the exclusion of a confidential secretary to the administration and the student database and guidance support. That's not new, that's from the existing contract. Then I repeated the duration clause. We're proposing the deletion of the agency fee in light of the Supreme Court decision of last year. In number 5, we've somewhat picked up on the teacher proposal to change the health and safety language and include reference to WOSHA and OSHA. We've added an extra section which we think would be appropriate, and that is in 8.7. We're suggesting that new employees in our bargaining unit, paraeducators specifically, be provided with CPI training on or before their first day of work, or if that's not possible, that they simply be assigned to someone who has been trained for their own and for the good of the students, that they have that training. In number 6, a couple of changes, but the major changes were suggesting a system of progressive discipline in the case of the discipline of an employee that would consist of a verbal warning, a written warning, a 1-day suspension, and that would not apply to something that the general thought is there are misdeeds that somebody can do that cause for instant dismissal or instant suspension from work. We're not suggesting that if someone was selling, I won't say, but if someone created or caused one of those egregious things, that you would have to go through a 1-day suspension. But this is for more routine things, and it happens, at least in some of the school districts I see, where it's a chance for an employee to be corrected and continue working. Number 7 is a proposal to make the job descriptions more specific. We have job descriptions now, but they're primarily in the area of paraprofessionals, where we have intensive special needs specialists and paraeducators. That sometimes results in some difficulty of what category does a person belong in. And it's not just confusing here, it's confusing everywhere. But we'd like to see if it would work out better. Number 8 is a proposal for paras who agree to substitute for teachers, and that they receive a stipend that increases from current $2 to $5 if they agree to do that. There seems to be a shortage of substitutes everywhere, at least in southern Vermont. So in some cases, even though I've had some school boards that don't want paras to substitute, in some cases it's not a choice because there's just no other option. Number 9 is a proposal, an economic proposal to buy back unused sick leave days. That could have some impact on limiting the use of sick leave. I don't know that, but that was one intent. Number 10, we've had some issues with, I think mostly more in the teacher contract with sick leave bank. What we're suggesting are a couple of changes. One, that the procedures for the sick leave bank be agreed to by us. Now the current contract says that the procedures are developed by the sick leave bank committee. We think it's more appropriate that it be the board and the association that come up with the procedures so that everybody understands them. And then a committee would administer that. And where the substantive change is where we've crossed out the 50 additional days over the most recent 5-year period. And we're proposing those changes in the sick leave bank. 11 and 12 are just really editorial changes, I believe, where we cover both of those subjects, and we're just looking for language clarification. 13, including brother-in-law and sister-in-law, nieces and nephews, in the section is something we've discussed before but never reached an agreement on. Number 14 is another editorial change. As I was going through the proposal, it just seemed that was 18.5 was just simply didn't make any sense where it was in the contract, and that we should move it to Article 16 and just include it as a new section. You may or may not agree with that, but it just didn't seem to fit where it had landed. Number 15 is what we're proposing is putting all the insurance issues together in one article. And the biggest change, of course, is including the new state health insurance plan. And as you probably, I'm sure you know by now, the state plan simply maintains the status quo for the first 6 months. So starting July 1st of 2020, in 17.2, that language is this existing language in the current contract. Would continue for the first 6 months. And then in 17.3, it shifts over to the new language. And as I've indicated in the footnote, some of this language seems to still be negotiated between the school boards and the association. I don't think any of the substantive parts of the insurance will change, but some of the language might. I know there's still discussion of what is a domestic partner and things like that. So it seems that we're hoping that we can proceed with this, and if there are editorial changes along the way, we can work those out without too much difficulty. And under the provision of the law, the way the coverage for the support staff would continue for the first 18 months. No premium split change, it would remain at 86.14. And then on January 1st of 2021, the employees and premium costs would increase by 2%, boards would decrease by 2%. The 17.4 covers the arrangement with out-of-pocket costs. It's pretty much taken word for word out of the arbitration award. I don't think the language will change much, but the same caveat goes there that there might be some changes. And since it's a state provision, we're at least of the opinion that all of the contracts ought to say the same thing. But we needed to get things moving, so I've simply picked up the language from the arbitration award. Domestic partner is referred to in the language of the arbitration award, and this is 17.5 is a provision I stole from the Wyndham Northeast Agreement. I think that it may change. As I understand it, they're going to go with a definition that's used by the State Employees Association. I suspect it will not be much different than it is now. 17.5 is a provision that's not covered under the health insurance, state health insurance plan. And that is for a provision known as a cash in lieu of benefit. So if an employee does not take health insurance from the district, we're proposing that they be entitled to a sum of $4,000 a year. That's a little less than half of what a single coverage would cost. we have similar provisions with different amounts in some contracts, and we have some contracts that don't include a cash in lieu in lieu of benefit clause. But it's a proposal that some districts, I think, have decided might save the money. Other districts have decided the opposite. But it's a proposal that, if it does cause people to move to our spouse's insurance, the district would, even on a single coverage, would have a savings. The 125 plan is language out of the contract. Dental, we're making proposals for dental and long-term disability insurance coverage, which are the same as currently in the teacher contract and have been in the teacher's contract for some time. Number 16 is a payment upon retirement after, we're proposing after 10 years of service. Actually, it's not retirement, it's after retirement or resignation. An employee could receive $35 per day for unused sick leave. Number 17 of our proposal is a notice of employees' assignments on a yearly basis. We've discussed this before, and it still becomes an issue of people getting late changes in assignment. And I suspect everybody would understand that it would be the employee's desire to know well in advance what they're going to do, and we understand that that is also sometimes difficult for the administration, but we'd like to raise that issue and see if we can make some progress, make it a little bit more employee-friendly. Breaks, the issue, and it may be more widespread, is that in some cases, I think at least at the middle school, an employee's work break in the morning is scheduled essentially when they arrive at work. And we're suggesting that under normal conditions, a break is sometime in the middle of a shift. And in many cases, could be probably best determined by the employee without the specific assignment of you can take a break from 10:10 to 10:25 instead of saying, you know, you can take a break as you can work it out with people, the teacher or the other employees you're working with. 18, number 18 is, I think, come up before, employees that are assigned to a different job and that they be paid at the higher wage rate, if there is a higher wage rate, for all the time they work. I suspect the corollary of that is if it's a lower wage rate, we don't lower it. That would seem to be the appropriate union position. Evaluation. Number 19, it's a proposal that observations and evaluations be done openly without electronic recording, without the employee's permission. We're asking that the district evaluate employees periodically. I did say every 2 years, but it really is at least it seems to me that that's a point where in some cases with long-term employees, you don't need to evaluate them frequently, but with new employees, frequently might be the best idea. And then our wage proposal, we're asking for a modest 100% increase. And we also, as we discussed last time without resolution, the NECC employees, I think, are they at Molly Star?
They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Throughout the district.
That we discussed a separate wage category for that group of employees. And then it actually folds over into the recognition clause, is that because of the merger, we now have employees, custodians and maintenance people that we represent that are covered by the contract and not covered by the contract. As I recall, in Powell, we represented custodians and maintenance, but in Bennington Elementary, we didn't. Nor did we in Shaftesbury. I don't remember if there was the only employee was a supervisor. Anyway, it's an issue that we believe we have to find a way to resolve to cover all of the employees in the district. And as we had agreed in the ground rules, we'll deliver you a more specific wage proposal before the next meeting. We're trying to look at, well, it's wages and it's a wage schedule and how we distribute that. And most of us aren't in the real world, although I think 100% is probably not bad. That's what I'd ask for. But it was better than zero because Dina would hold me to the zero. Anyway, it's a rather extensive proposal, we recognize that. But we have, for the last couple of years, been, to a great extent because of the health insurance, been bargaining one-year contracts, and it's often come down to, let's try to resolve our wage issues and then move on. And that's fine, but over the time, different issues come up that we, from our membership, and we need to bring them to the table. And so we've tried to do that and go carefully through the wants and concerns of the membership, so we get them out, so we can at least have some discussion and hopefully find some resolution.
Are you all set, Norm?
Pardon?
Are you all set?
I can do it again.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
As I said, we're gonna provide sort of the topic areas. We also identified Article 1, the recognition, and Article 1.8 as having some issues that need to be addressed because of merger as well. Article 10.2, which is probation. In terms of for the health insurance benefit, there needs to be some clarity. There was some change in the award from the arbitrator on health insurance regarding the probationary period for health insurance. So we need to ensure that that is covered in the contract.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Do we now not provide health? I've never kind of linked those two together, but.
No, 90 days.
People have-
It's a 90-day probationary,
Pardon?
it's a 90-day probationary period
Okay.
for new hires. And so the arbitration award has a different award for that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Obviously, we're obligated to follow that, so we highlighted that that needs to be done. We are going to be looking at Article 15.2 on the sick leave. There's some language which we think is somewhat vague there in terms of identifying members of the immediate family and other issues along those lines.
And that's 15.2?
15.2 we're going to be looking at.
Okay.
And actually going through, I think, Article 15, the major Article 15, looking at some of the issues regarding sick bank, some of the issues regarding notification of use of sick time.
Sick bank, and what else did you say?
Written notification of sick time, some of those issues we've had crop up. As well as in Article 16.2, we're going to be looking at personal leave and statutory leave. Article 18, the health insurance, we're anticipating replacing with the language regarding state negotiation. I will point out that not only does the arbitrator's award not deal with health in lieu of, the payment in lieu of, cash in lieu of taking the health insurance benefit, which you did a proposal. The arbitrator's award also does not deal with the specific issue if there is a married or civil union relationship and both parties are in fact employed by the boards, how that will be handled, and I think that's something.
If both parties are employed?
If both parties are employed. So in other words, Norm, if you and I both work for the SU and we're married,
And we both like family coverage?
right, and so if one of us takes
Okay.
family coverage if you're contemplating, you know, so that's not addressed as well, so I just want to.
There were a couple of things that they were working on. One, that was one of them. The other one was if an employee is part-time in 2 different districts, which I don't know happens here. I mean, it could within a supervisor union, how that works. Some of that was just not finally resolved. Some of it actually I found out had been agreed to before arbitration. It wasn't in the arbitration award. So it kind of was like, where'd that come from?
Right. Yeah, so there,
So
so
that's
there,
a good point.
so there is, you know, there is that uncovered issue in the arbitration award. You know, and it's interesting, you know, there's an argument that the arbitration award is the award, and that deals with all of the issues of health insurance, where it's an issue that what's not spoken to, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, there are 2 different arguments there, of what's not spoken to can then be negotiated between the parties.
Yeah,
Not so clear on where we're falling down.
we had a discussion about whether there should be something attached to the contract. My personal feeling was by including language in the contract and going over it during negotiations, we both have a better understanding of what it is. And also in the future, when a new employee comes in, they can read it and see what the contract provides. You know, I obviously couldn't have my mind changed, but to say, you know, your health insurance is like the state didn't agree to it is not very enlightening. It was only my thought, but I don't disagree that although the thought I had is most of the time when the government passes a law, I can negotiate better than that. I can't negotiate less. So maybe we'll propose the boards pay more. I hadn't thought of that seriously before this moment, but.
I think we'll go with the arbitrator's award then as with the final award is in terms of your cap. But I'm saying, I'm just saying, I don't disagree with you, and I don't think that the board disagrees with you that employees should have the language regarding the health insurance award from the arbitrator within the confines of the document. While it would be great to save paper and just do a 1 sentence, I think, you know, employees do look at the contract's posted up on the website as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody disagrees that it should be in there. I'm just saying that there, you know, the issue of whether or not that is the complete addressing of all of the health insurance issues, or
Yeah.
whether it's parts that are silent, therefore can then be negotiated, is 2 different arguments.
We're in favor of clarifying everything that we can now and not have to do it a half a year from now. I mean,
Right.
seriously. And,
Right.
you know, about what happens if you both work in the district is certainly one, if you have part-time employees. I don't know if we have any of those, but I think this is the way to get those things resolved and to the best of our, we can.
Article 19.1, we're going to be looking at that in terms of, we're finding in limited situations, the credit for experience is precluding us from actually, in fact, hiring qualified individuals. So that is a concern of ours in terms of placement on the wage scale.
So we limit it, don't we?
You do limit it, and that makes it very difficult when you need to hire somebody such as an LPN or with, you know, 20 years of experience who has fallen under this contract. Or, you know, if you have a paraeducator who has, you know, 10 years of experience in another school setting. So that becomes limiting, and I think we both would agree that we want to get the best qualified individuals that we can. And I think that's where our initial list is. I'm sorry. And I do want to point out, as I said, it is not having specific language changes because of my limitations right now in terms of typing. But obviously, by our next meeting, we will be giving you a full proposal with the language on everything that we're.
Okay. That's helpful.
I thought it would be helpful.
Yeah.
I thought even if I underline the new stuff, instead of just hiding it in the text, that might be helpful for you as well.
Yeah.
I can make it a different color if you want.
Don't go out of your way, you know.
I absolutely will
Yeah.
hold myself back.
Well, I suspect within a meeting or so, we'll have, I don't know how the parties are working out these fine points, if they're negotiating them in Montpelier, but more things seem to become clear. But, then we can work on those. I've got some more information. And shall we proceed unless you're ready to agree to our proposal?
I think that we would agree to a 0 wage increase. I'm not sure if we want to go for that.
That wouldn't shock me.
I know that.
I had a school district last year that proposed 8 cents. I said 0 would have been better.
Yeah,
But anyway,
but,
so stay away from 8, if you will. I know that then I have to deal with annoyance.
Right.
Anyway.
No, if it was 8%, then there'd be, you know.
80 cents is different, yeah. So I think where we're at is I think we need to set, right, our next meeting.
No, we don't have to. No, we don't.
Or we already have it for the
Yes,
30th.
we did.
We already have it for the 30th, I'm sorry.
Did we set it for the 30th?
We did set it for, oh, so let me confirm, because I do actually, I think, have it for the 30th.
Yes.
Am I right on that?
Yes.
I
Yep.
apologize for that, so. We did actually put
That's
2
right.
in for you guys.
And you did 2 in February
So
also.
we got the 2 in
Yeah.
for February. So
The
we're pretty good.
27th, do you have?
I have January 30th,
Yes.
and then I have February 13th,
February 13th.
and then I have the 27th.
Yep.
That's right, because one of those happens to be Leon's birthday.
Right,
Well,
the 13th.
Just bring them a cake, not candy next time.
Was it the 13th your birthday?
Things that might not be.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
I kept the 13th.
Yeah, so we do have outlined. I was just trying to think, Norm, I mean, I think quite easily we could probably, besides giving you our written proposal, next time, I think we probably could at least agree on updating to reflect the Southwest Vermont Union Elementary School Districts and removing Bennington School District and all of that next time, as well as if there are language changes identifying the technical center, technical regional school, if we need to do that as well. So at least we can start off with having an agreement, a couple tentative agreements there.
Okay, I think that's a good place to start.
I think it's a great place to start. So we can at least check off probably 1 and 1.8, I think. So we're gonna be doing the same time on the 30th?
As long as they're covering for the after-school programs and whatever.
I leave work. Yeah, I was fine, leaving work at 3 o'clock today.
You're better.
Right.
All right, great.
So it's at 3 PM? Or 3:30?
3:30.
It's 3:30 meeting with them, 3 for you guys if you can do that. Is there anything else, Norm, that I'm skipping?
Now, are you going to send the proposals ahead of time to Norm before our meeting so we come with them, or?
Yeah, I'd like to meet you guys after.
Okay, yeah, I will send you I don't.
That you
I think
both,
that
both sides
I
exchange?
know the
your
wage proposal, whatever we have left, I'll send you before the next meeting.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah. just-
And we're meeting here, correct?
We are meeting here.
Okay,
All right, great.
So you're both going to email them to
Yes.
each other, right?
Yep, we will.
We're adjourned, and I am not